I stared at the framed photo on my mantel, the one where Harper and I are arm in arm at the beach, our hair whipping across our faces, smiles wide enough to crack the world open. 5 years of friendship captured in a single frame. The day we promised we'd always be in each other's big moments. The mail arrived with a soft thud against my apartment door. I scooped it up, shuffling through bills and junk until I spotted the cream envelope with elegant calligraphy. My stomach fluttered as I slid my finger under the seal. Harper Jensen and Dylan Newman request the honor of your presence. I froze, my eyes darting back and forth across the invitation. The names blurred together as I read them again. And again. Dylan. My Dylan. And Harper. My best friend. No, this had to be a mistake. I fumbled for my phone, nearly dropping it as I pulled up Dylan's contact. 3 rings, then his voicemail. I hung up and tried Harper instead. Straight to voicemail. This isn't funny, I whispered to my empty apartment. I turned the invitation over in my hands, looking for some clue that this was an elaborate prank. That's when I noticed the handwritten note at the bottom of the RSVP card. +1 not needed, Lindsay. Come alone. My phone buzzed. A text from Tessa. Did you get it too? My fingers trembled as I typed back. The wedding invitation? Please tell me this is some sick joke. Not a joke. I've been trying to call you. Can I come over? 20 minutes later, Tessa sat across from me at my kitchen table, her face a mask of concern. I didn't know how to tell you. I only found out last week. How long? The words felt like glass in my throat. How long have they been together? Tessa looked down at her hands. From what I've heard, 8 months. 8 months. While Dylan was still with me, while Harper was still calling me every day, still meeting me for our weekly brunches, still asking about my relationship. Did everyone know except me? The room tilted slightly, and I gripped the edge of the table. Not everyone. But Jacqueline definitely did. She's the maid of honor. Of course she was. Jacqueline had never liked me, always finding subtle ways to exclude me from Harper's inner circle. Now it all made sense. The knowing looks, the inside jokes, the way conversations would stop when I entered a room. I need to talk to Harper. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. Tessa grabbed my wrist. Lindsay, wait, there's more. The more was a series of Instagram photos Tessa pulled up on her phone. Dylan and Harper in Bali. Dylan and Harper at his family's lake house, the one he'd promised to take me to someday. The captions were worse. Finally found my forever and when you know, you just know. The timestamps, I said, my voice hollow. These were posted while he was still. I know. Tessa squeezed my hand. I'm so sorry. My phone lit up with a call from Harper. I stared at her name on the screen, at the contact photo of us making silly faces. Are you going to answer it? Tessa asked. I took a deep breath and hit accept. Harper. Lindsay, did you get it? Isn't it gorgeous? The calligrapher charged a fortune, but Dylan said it was worth it. Her voice was bright, casual, as if nothing was wrong. As if she hadn't stolen my boyfriend and was now flaunting it with embossed stationery. How could you? The words came out in a whisper, a pause. Oh, I guess we should talk about that. You guess? My voice rose. You're marrying my boyfriend, and you guess we should talk about it? Ex-boyfriend, she corrected. And it just happened, Linz. We didn't plan it. 8 months ago, I said. It happened 8 months ago when he was still with me. Another pause. Look, I know you're upset. Upset? I laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. Harper, you've been my best friend since college. You were there when Dylan and I met. You helped me pick out the dress for our first date. Things change, Lindsay. People change. Dylan and I, we just connected on a different level. The casual cruelty of it knocked the wind out of me. And the come alone note? Was that necessary? Jacqueline thought it would be clearer that way. Her voice softened with fake sympathy. We just didn't want you bringing some random date to make a point. In the background, I heard Jacqueline's distinctive laugh, followed by her voice. Is that Lindsay? Tell her we've got her a special seat in the back. Harper giggled. Stop it, she whispered. Not to me. I have to go, I said. Wait, are you coming? The RSVP deadline is... I'll be there. The words came out before I could stop them. Great! Her relief was palpable. It wouldn't be the same without you. As I hung up, Jacqueline's voice floated through the speaker, just loud enough for me to hear. You won't stay for long. I set my phone down with shaking hands and looked up at Tessa. They think I'm just going to show up and smile and watch them get married. Tessa's eyes widened. You're not actually going, are you? I looked back at the photo on my mantel, at Harper's arm around my shoulders, at our matching sunglasses and carefree smiles. Then I walked over and placed it face down. Oh, I'm going, I said, but not for the reasons they think. I thought I was prepared. I'd rehearsed this moment for weeks, walking into the church, keeping my composure, showing them all I was fine. But nothing could have readied me for the reality of it. The chapel was draped in white orchids and eucalyptus, exactly as Harper had always dreamed. I recognized her vision in every detail, the antique brass candelabras, the scattered rose petals, the string quartet playing that Pachelbel piece she'd loved since college. All her Pinterest boards come to life, only I wasn't standing beside her as planned. Name? A woman with a tablet blocked my path at the entrance. Lindsay. My voice sounded strange, distant. I'm the bride's... friend. She scrolled through her list, eyebrows raised. Ah, yes. Left side toward the back. Of course, hidden away like a shameful secret. I slid into my assigned pew, nodding at the few familiar faces who bothered to meet my eyes. Most looked away quickly. They all knew. Everyone knew. Tessa slipped in beside me, squeezing my hand. You okay? I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. We'd planned this. I would sit through the ceremony, gather evidence at the reception, then make my exit before anyone realized what I was doing. Simple, clinical, detached. The music shifted and the processional began. Bridesmaids in sage green dresses floated down the aisle, each one paired with a groomsman I recognized from Dylan's circle. Then came Jacqueline, her smile triumphant as she caught my eye. Breathe, Tessa whispered. The wedding march started. Everyone stood. And there she was, Harper, radiant in a lace gown that hugged her curves before cascading to the floor in a dramatic train. Her father beamed beside her. I'd helped her pick that dress 6 months ago when she'd claimed it was for her cousin's wedding. My stomach lurched. I gripped the pew in front of me, knuckles white, and then I saw him. Dylan. Standing at the altar in a tailored tux, his dark hair styled exactly how I used to like it. The man who'd whispered, I love you, against my skin just 10 months ago now waited for my best friend with undisguised adoration. Something broke inside me. Not my heart. That had shattered weeks ago when I'd discovered the truth. No, this was different. This was the final thread of my old life snapping clean. Harper reached the altar. Dylan took her hand, and as he did, his eyes found mine in the crowd. The corner of his mouth twitched upward. Surprise, love, he mouthed, just for me. The room spun. Tessa's grip on my arm tightened. Don't give him the satisfaction, she hissed. I forced myself to stay seated, to breathe, to watch as the minister began the ceremony. Words about love and trust and honor floated through the air like cruel jokes. My phone vibrated in my clutch. I shouldn't check it. Not here, not now, but anything was better than watching this nightmare unfold. I angled the screen away from curious eyes. A text from an unknown number. Check the bathroom. Second stall. Under the sink. I frowned, showing it to Tessa. She shrugged, equally confused. I need some air, I whispered, sliding out of the pew. Several heads turned, including Jacqueline's. Her smirk followed me all the way to the exit. In the bathroom, I splashed cold water on my face, avoiding my reflection. Then, feeling ridiculous, I checked the second stall. There, taped under the sink, was a USB drive with my name written on it. I slipped it into my purse just as the bathroom door swung open. Jacqueline stood there, arms crossed. Running away already? The ceremony's barely started. I straightened my shoulders. Just needed a moment. You shouldn't have come, Lindsay. She stepped closer, her perfume, the same one Harper now wore, overwhelming in the small space. It's pathetic. What's pathetic is whatever game you three are playing. Her laugh was sharp. Game? Dylan never loved you. He was with you to get close to Harper. Everyone knew it. The words hit like physical blows, but I kept my face neutral. Is that what he told you? He didn't have to. It was obvious from the start. She checked her lipstick in the mirror. Harper was always the prize. You were just convenient. And what are you in all this, Jacqueline? The loyal friend? The cheerleader? Something flickered across her face. Uncertainty, maybe even guilt. But it vanished quickly. I'm the maid of honor, I should get back. She moved toward the door, then paused. Don't make a scene, Lindsay. It won't change anything. After she left, I leaned against the cool tile wall, trying to steady my breathing. The USB drive felt heavy in my purse. What was on it? Who had left it? When I returned to the ceremony, the vows were underway. Harper's voice carried through the chapel, clear and confident. I promise to be faithful, to cherish you above all others. Beside me, Tessa whispered, What happened? I showed her the drive. Someone left this for me. Her eyes widened. Who? I don't know. But I intend to find out. At the altar, Dylan began his vows, his gaze fixed adoringly on Harper. From the moment we reconnected, I knew you were the one. The only one who truly understands me, who sees me for who I really am. Reconnected. The word echoed in my head. They'd known each other before me. Another lie. As they exchanged rings, Dylan glanced my way again. This time there was no smirk, just a cold assessment, a warning. The minister pronounced them husband and wife. The crowd erupted in applause as they sealed their union with a kiss. And in that moment, watching the two people I'd trusted most betray me in front of everyone we knew, I made a decision. This wasn't just about exposing their affair anymore. This was about justice. The reception was in full swing by the time I found a quiet corner to examine the USB drive. The hotel's business centre was deserted, everyone else busy celebrating the happy couple. I plugged it in, hands trembling slightly as the files loaded. Holy shit, I whispered. Hundreds of screenshots, text messages between Dylan and Harper going back 18 months. Photos they'd sent each other, some innocent, others decidedly not. And emails. So many emails, including ones from the early days when I was still blissfully unaware. I hate lying to her, Harper had written, but I can't stop thinking about you. Just a few more months, Dylan replied. We need to be smart about this. Lindsay's useful to me right now. Useful. The word burned like acid. I scrolled through more messages, each one worse than the last. Plans they'd made while I was in the next room, jokes at my expense, strategies for keeping me in the dark. Find anything interesting? I jumped, nearly knocking over the monitor. Eric, Harper's brother, leaned against the doorframe, drink in hand. Jesus, you scared me. I quickly minimized the window, but not fast enough. Relax. He closed the door behind him. I'm the one who left it for you. I stared at him. Eric and I had never been close. He'd always seemed indifferent to me, just his sister's friend who came around sometimes. Why would you do that? I asked. He took a long sip of his whiskey. Because what they did to you was fucked up. And because you deserve to know the whole truth. Which is that this wasn't some sudden love affair. They've been planning this for years. He sat in the chair beside me. Dylan approached Harper first, you know, before he ever met you. The room seemed to tilt. What are you talking about? Harper rejected him, said he wasn't successful enough, didn't fit into her 5-year plan. His laugh was bitter. So he found you, her best friend, the talented photographer with connections to all the right people. My mind raced back to how Dylan and I met, at that gallery opening, where I was showcasing my work. How interested he'd been in my career, my contacts. how quickly he'd wanted to meet my friends, especially Harper. He used me to get to her. The realization made me physically ill. And to your client list. Check the last folder. I clicked on it with numb fingers. Inside were copies of contracts, my clients now working with Dylan's consulting firm. Introductions I'd made, connections I'd vouched for. He stole my clients? My voice cracked. Not all of them. Just the ones Harper thought would be useful for their new life together. Eric's expression was grim. My sister always did like her men pre-packaged for success. I closed my eyes, memories flooding back. Dylan asking about my business strategy. Borrowing my laptop. The night he'd insisted on answering my emails while I was sick. It had seemed so thoughtful at the time. Why are you showing me this? I finally asked. She's your sister. And she's always been exactly like our father, taking what she wants without caring who gets hurt. He finished his drink. I've watched her do this before. I'm tired of being complicit. The door opened again, and Tessa poked her head in. There you are. People are asking questions about... She stopped, noticing Eric. Oh, sorry. It's fine, I said. Eric was just leaving. He stood, placing his empty glass on the desk. Think about what I said. And Lindsay? Be careful. They've got more to lose than you realize. After he left, Tessa rushed over. What was that about? And what did you find? I showed her everything, the messages, the photos, the contracts. Her face grew increasingly horrified. This is worse than we thought, she whispered. They didn't just betray you emotionally, they stole your livelihood. And everyone's celebrating them right now. I ejected the USB drive, clutching it tightly. I need some air. Outside, the summer night was warm, stars obscured by city lights. I leaned against the building, trying to process everything I'd learned. The depth of their betrayal went beyond anything I'd imagined. Thought I might find you out here. I turned to see Roy, Harper's wedding planner, lighting a cigarette. I'd met him a few times during the planning sessions Harper had invited me to before I knew the truth. Just needed a break from all the happiness, I said. He offered me a cigarette. I hadn't smoked in years, but tonight seemed like the time to make exceptions. He lit it for me, the flame briefly illuminating his knowing expression. For what it's worth, I think it's brave of you to come. I exhaled a stream of smoke. Brave isn't the word most people would use. No? What would they use? Pathetic. Desperate. Masochistic. I laughed hollowly. Take your pick. I've planned over 200 weddings, Roy said. You learn to read people. And those two in there. He nodded toward the reception. They're terrified you're here. I frowned. They invited me. As damage control. Keep your enemies closer and all that. He tapped ash from his cigarette. They've been watching you all night. Whispering. Checking their phones. Something clicked into place. The contracts, I murmured. They're worried I'll find out about the clients. Clients? Roy raised an eyebrow. I hesitated, then decided to trust my instincts. Dylan stole business from me, used my connections to build his own client base. Roy whistled low. That explains the rush. 3-month engagement, no prenup. Harper was adamant about locking it down fast. No prenup? That was surprising. Harper had always been meticulous about protecting her assets. Signed the paperwork myself as a witness. Everything merged into joint accounts yesterday. He checked his watch. Look, I need to get back. The cake cutting is in 10 minutes. As he turned to leave, I called after him. Why are you telling me this? He paused. Let's just say I recognize a fellow casualty when I see one. Dylan has a pattern. I stood there long after Roy disappeared inside, the cigarette burning down between my fingers. All this time I'd been thinking about exposing their affair, about embarrassing them publicly. But now I understood. This wasn't just about broken hearts and betrayed trust. This was about something much more calculated. And maybe, just maybe, much more vulnerable to the right kind of pressure. I dropped the cigarette, crushing it under my heel as a plan began to form. I wouldn't just expose them, I would take back what was mine. I slipped back into the reception just as Harper and Dylan cut their wedding cake. The crowd cooed and applauded while Dylan smeared frosting on Harper's nose, both of them laughing like they were the only two people in the world. My stomach clenched at their performance, knowing now it was built on the ruins of my career. "There you are," Tessa appeared at my elbow with 2 champagne flutes. I was getting worried. I accepted the drink, scanning the room with new purpose. I need to talk to some people. Alone. "What are you planning?" Her voice dropped to a whisper. "Something better than making a scene." I downed the champagne in one gulp. "Cover for me if anyone asks." I made my way through the crowd, smiling and nodding at acquaintances while my mind raced. The first person I needed was at the bar, nursing a gin and tonic. "Congratulations on a beautiful wedding, Roy." I slid onto the stool beside him. "Must be satisfying seeing all your hard work come together." He gave me a measured look. "What can I do for you, Lindsay?" "I need access to their wedding website, the one with all the planning details, vendor contacts, payment records. That would be highly unprofessional of me." He sipped his drink, then added quietly, "The password is Forever 2023, with a capital F. Harper uses the same password for everything." I committed it to memory. "Thank you." "I have no idea what you're talking about." He stood, straightening his tie. "Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a bouquet toss to coordinate. Next, I needed to find someone who could confirm my suspicions about the client list. I spotted Marcus, a tech executive who'd hired me for his company's rebranding last year, now apparently working with Dylan. He was alone by the dessert table, examining a chocolate-covered strawberry. "Marcus!" "I didn't expect to see you here." I kept my voice light, friendly. He looked up, momentarily flustered. "Lindsay, Dylan invited me. Business associate and all that." "Of course." I selected a strawberry for myself. "How did that happen anyway? Last time we spoke, you were looking for a photographer for your London office." His discomfort was palpable. "Well, Dylan mentioned he had connections in that space. Said he could get me better rates than what you'd quoted." "Did he?" I kept smiling, though my jaw ached with the effort. "And did he happen to show you my portfolio as part of his pitch?" Marcus shifted his weight. "Look, Lindsay, it wasn't personal. Business is business." "Absolutely." I touched his arm reassuringly. "I'm just curious. Did he offer you the friends and family discount? The one I created specifically for long-term clients?" His eyes widened slightly. "How did you—" "Just connecting dots." I pulled out my phone. "Would you mind showing me what he charged you? I'm doing some market research." Guilt made him compliant. He pulled up the invoice on his phone, and there it was. My exact pricing structure, my contract template, even my client care package, all with Dylan's logo slapped on top. "Thanks, Marcus, this is incredibly helpful." I snapped a quick photo of his screen. "You're not going to— I mean, the contract is signed and—" "Don't worry, this isn't about you." I patted his shoulder. "Enjoy the rest of the wedding." By the time the bouquet toss came around, I'd spoken to 3 more former clients, all with similar stories. Dylan hadn't just stolen my contact list, he'd taken my entire business model, my pricing, my unique service offerings. Everything I'd built over years of hard work. I stood at the back of the crowd as Harper prepared to throw her bouquet. Our eyes met briefly across the room. Something flickered across her face. Concern, maybe even fear. She knew I'd been talking to people. Good. She turned around, counted to 3, and tossed the flowers over her shoulder. They sailed through the air and by some cruel twist of fate landed directly in my hands. The room went silent for a beat, then erupted in awkward laughter and scattered applause. Harper's smile was fixed, brittle. Dylan whispered something in her ear, his eyes never leaving me. Jacqueline appeared at my side, voice syrupy sweet. How ironic. The perpetual bridesmaid finally catches the bouquet. I looked down at the white roses and baby's breath in my hands. Isn't it? Though I've always preferred being behind the camera rather than in front of it. Her smile faltered. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing at all. I handed her the bouquet. Here. I think this belongs with the wedding party. I turned to leave, but she caught my arm. I know what you're doing, Lindsay. Talking to Dylan's clients, asking questions. It won't work. I'm just catching up with old friends at a wedding. Isn't that what we're all here for? Her grip tightened. Stop digging. You're only embarrassing yourself. That's funny, I said, pulling free. I was just thinking the same about you three. I walked away, heart pounding. The confrontation had drawn attention. People were watching, whispering, including Eric, who caught my eye from across the room and gave me a subtle nod. In the bathroom, I locked myself in a stall and pulled out my phone. With shaking fingers, I logged into Harper's wedding planning site using the password Roy had given me. Everything was there: vendor contracts, payment records, emails between Harper and Dylan discussing the wedding details. And something else. A folder labeled Business Merger, containing documents outlining how they plan to combine their assets post-wedding, including a list of my former clients, categorized by revenue potential, with notes on how Dylan had converted them. I forwarded everything to my email, then texted Tessa. I need to leave. Meet me at the hotel bar in 20. As I slipped my phone back into my purse, I heard the bathroom door open and Harper's voice. I know she's up to something. She's been talking to everyone. Relax, Jacqueline replied. What can she possibly do? It's your wedding day. No one's going to believe some bitter ex over the glowing bride. You didn't see her face when she caught the bouquet. She knows something. Then we accelerate the plan. Dylan transfers the remaining accounts tomorrow instead of next week. By the time she figures anything out, it'll be too late. Their voices faded as they moved toward the mirrors. I waited until they left before emerging from the stall, my decision crystallized by their words. I'd planned to expose them gradually to reclaim my clients one by one, but they were moving faster than I anticipated. I couldn't wait. Tomorrow would be too late. The hotel bar was nearly empty when Tessa found me. I'd already ordered a double whiskey, neat, something strong enough to steady my hands but not cloud my judgment. You look like you've seen a ghost, Tessa said, sliding onto the stool beside me. More like I've seen the truth. I pushed my phone toward her, open to the emails I'd forwarded to myself. They're not just stealing my past clients. They're going after my current ones. Tomorrow. Tessa scrolled through the documents, her expression darkening. This is straight-up corporate espionage. You could sue them. With what money? What lawyer? I took a sip of whiskey, welcoming the burn. By the time I could get a case together, they'll have drained my business dry. Then what's the plan? I was about to answer when my phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. Meet me in the hotel garden. I can help. E. Eric wants to meet, I said, showing Tessa the message. Her eyes narrowed. Can you trust him? He's still Harper's brother. I don't know, but right now I need all the help I can get. The garden was lit with soft landscape lighting, the summer night warm and fragrant with jasmine. Eric stood by a small fountain, hands in his pockets, looking nothing like the carefree groomsman who'd been dancing earlier. Thanks for coming, he said as I approached. What kind of help are you offering? He glanced around to ensure we were alone. I have access to Dylan's cloud storage. All his business files, including the ones he stole from you. I stared at him. How? I set up his system last year. He never changed the admin password. A ghost of a smile crossed his face. Arrogance has always been his blind spot. Why would you betray your sister's husband like this? Eric's expression hardened. 2 years ago, I started a tech security firm, small but growing. Dylan approached me about a partnership, said he had connections, could help me scale up. He looked away. I trusted him with proprietary software I'd developed. 6 months later, he was pitching it to investors as his own. The pieces clicked together. So this isn't just about me. No, but you're the first person who might be able to do something about it. He handed me a flash drive. Everything's here, original files with your digital signatures and timestamps, proving the work was yours before he claimed it. I turned the drive over in my hand, feeling its weight. This could ruin them. That's the idea. A twig snapped nearby. We both turned to see Jacqueline standing at the garden entrance, her bridesmaid dress gleaming in the low light. Well, isn't this cozy? Her voice dripped with venom. The bitter ex and the jealous brother, plotting revenge. Eric stepped forward. This doesn't concern you, Jacqueline. Anything that threatens Harper concerns me. She walked closer, high heels sinking slightly into the soft ground. What's on the drive, Lindsay? More pathetic evidence that Dylan preferred Harper over you. I slipped the flash drive into my purse. You know exactly what they did. I know they fell in love. Everything else is business, she shrugged. Don't take it personally. Dylan's just better at the game than you are. It's not a game when it's my life's work, I said, voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. They stole from me, used me. And what are you going to do about it? Cause a scene? Email his clients? She laughed. No one will believe you over them. They're the golden couple. You're just the sad ex who couldn't move on. Her words hit their mark. For a moment, doubt crept in. What if she was right? What if I couldn't win against them? You're wrong, Eric said quietly. Show her, Lindsay. I hesitated, then pulled out my phone and showed Jacqueline the evidence I'd gathered. The client contracts, the stolen pricing models, the emails between Dylan and Harper planning it all. Her confident expression faltered as she scrolled through the documents. This doesn't prove anything. It proves enough, I said, taking back my phone. And there's more where that came from. Jacqueline's eyes darted between us, calculating. What do you want? Money? An apology? I want what's mine, my clients, my business, my reputation. Impossible. Those clients are contracted with Dylan now. Contracts obtained through fraud, Eric pointed out. They won't hold up once the truth comes out. Jacqueline's composure cracked. You can't do this to Harper, not after everything. Everything what? I asked. What else don't I know? She pressed her lips together, clearly regretting her words. Nothing. Forget it. Tell me, Jacqueline, or I start making calls tonight. She glanced toward the hotel, then back at me. Fine, but not here. She nodded toward a more secluded part of the garden. Over there. As we walked, my phone vibrated with a text from Tessa. Where are you? People are asking questions. I quickly replied, garden with Eric and Jacqueline, getting answers. In the shadows of a large oak tree, Jacqueline turned to face me. Harper's pregnant. The words hit me like a physical blow. What? 8 weeks. They weren't going to announce until after the honeymoon. Her voice softened slightly. That's why they rushed the wedding. I felt dizzy, memories flooding back. Harper declining champagne at her engagement party, the loose-fitting wedding dress, her sudden aversion to her favourite sushi restaurant. Signs I'd missed or ignored. Is it even Dylan's? The question escaped before I could stop it. Jacqueline's eyes flashed. Of course it is. They've been together for 8 months, I know, which means she got pregnant right after they went public. I did the math in my head. Or while he was still with me. She didn't deny it, which was answer enough. Does this change anything? She asked. Are you really going to destroy a family before it even begins? The question hung in the air between us. Was I? Could I live with myself if I did? Before I could answer, my phone lit up with another text. Not from Tessa this time, but from Roy. They know you have the files. Dylan's deleting everything from the cloud right now. If you're going to act, it has to be now. I looked up at Jacqueline, understanding dawning. This was a distraction. You've been keeping me here while they cover their tracks. Her expression confirmed it. I turned to Eric, who was already pulling out his phone. Too late, he said grimly. My access has been revoked. I clutched my purse tighter, feeling the flash drive inside. Not too late. We still have this. Jacqueline lunged for my bag, but I stepped back. Don't. Give me the drive, Lindsay. Her voice was desperate now. Please, you don't understand what's at stake. I understand perfectly. I backed away toward the hotel, and now so will everyone else. I burst back into the reception hall, heart hammering against my ribs. The party had reached that perfect wedding sweet spot, enough alcohol flowing that inhibitions were lowering, but before the mass exodus of older relatives. Perfect timing. Tessa intercepted me at the entrance. What happened? You look... They're deleting evidence. I clutched the flash drive in my palm like a lifeline. And Harper's pregnant. Her eyes widened. Are you serious? Apparently that's why they rushed everything. I scanned the room, spotting Dylan near the DJ booth, phone in hand, fingers moving rapidly across the screen. I need to stop him before he destroys everything. Lindsay, wait, Tessa grabbed my arm. Think about what you're doing. If Harper's really pregnant, then she's bringing a child into a marriage built on lies. I pulled away. That's on her, not me. I pushed through the crowd, dodging drunk dancers and waiters with champagne trays. Dylan saw me coming. His easy smile faltered, replaced by something colder as he pocketed his phone. Enjoying the celebration? He asked when I reached him, voice casual despite the tension radiating from him. Cut the crap, Dylan. I know what you're doing. He glanced around, then took my elbow, steering me toward a quieter corner. And what exactly am I doing, Lindsay? Deleting evidence, covering your tracks. I held up my purse. Too late. I have everything. A muscle twitched in his jaw. Whatever you think you have, it won't hold up. Your word against ours. The bitter ex versus the happily married couple. It's not my word. It's your own emails, your contracts, your planning documents. I leaned closer. Did you really think I wouldn't fight back? For a moment his mask slipped, revealing the calculating man beneath the charming exterior. What do you want? Money? I want my clients back. I want a public admission of what you did, and I want you to disappear from my professional circle forever. He laughed, but there was no humor in it. That's not going to happen. Then I start making calls, tonight, beginning with the industry ethics board. His expression darkened. You're making a mistake. No, you made the mistake. You thought I was too weak, too heartbroken to stand up for myself. I felt a surge of power, months of helplessness finally giving way to action. You were wrong. Think about Harper, he said, voice dropping. She's pregnant. I know, Jacqueline told me. I studied his face. Is it even yours? The question hit its mark. Uncertainty flickered in his eyes before he could hide it. Of course it's mine. But I'd seen it, that moment of doubt. You're not sure, are you? That's why you're rushing everything. The wedding, merging assets, stealing my clients. You're securing your position before anyone can question it. Before he could respond, Harper appeared at his side, her wedding gown shimmering under the reception lights. Everything okay here? Her smile was fixed, eyes darting between us. Just catching up, I said. Congratulations on the baby, by the way. Her hand instinctively went to her stomach before she caught herself. I don't know what you're talking about. Save it, Harper. Jacqueline told me everything. Harper shot a venomous look across the room to where Jacqueline stood watching us. Whatever you think you know, I know enough. I took a step back. I'm giving you one chance. Return my clients, admit what you did, and I'll keep quiet about the rest. Or what? Dylan challenged. I pulled out my phone. Or I start sending these files to everyone in this room, your new clients, the industry boards, the business journals that praised your innovative approach to consulting. Harper's carefully constructed composure began to crack. You wouldn't. Try me. Dylan placed a protective arm around Harper. You do that, and we'll sue you for defamation, for harassment. We'll make sure you never work in this industry again. With what evidence? The evidence you just deleted? I smiled thinly. I have backups. Do you? A commotion near the entrance drew our attention. Eric was arguing with a security guard who had a firm grip on his arm. Jacqueline stood nearby, arms crossed triumphantly. What did you do? I demanded. Called security, Harper said. My brother's been drinking too much, causing problems. I watched as Eric was escorted out, his eyes finding mine across the room, a silent message passing between us. Whatever happened next, I was on my own. That's how you handle threats, Lindsay, Dylan said quietly. Quickly and decisively. He was trying to help me. He was trying to hurt us. Harper's voice was steel. Just like you are. I looked between them, the perfect couple in their wedding finery, united against me. For a moment, doubt crept in. Was I really prepared to go through with this? To potentially ruin lives, including that of an unborn child? Then I remembered the evidence I'd seen, the calculated way they'd used me, the clients they'd stolen, the lies they'd told. Last chance, I said. Make it right, or I press send. Dylan's laugh was cold. You don't have the guts. I held his gaze as my thumb hovered over the screen. One tap and everything would change, for all of us. Lindsay. Tessa appeared at my side, her expression grave. Don't do this. Not here. Not like this. I hesitated, suddenly aware of the crowd around us. People were starting to notice the tension, conversations quieting as attention turned our way. Listen to your friend, Harper urged. You're making a scene at my wedding. Is that really who you want to be? The question hit home. Was this who I wanted to be? Someone who caused public scenes, who sought revenge regardless of collateral damage? I lowered my phone. You're right. This isn't the place. Relief washed over Harper's face. Thank you. Now please, just go. I'm not finished, I clarified. I'm just not going to do this here, surrounded by people who don't deserve to have their evening ruined. Dylan's expression hardened. What does that mean? It means you have until tomorrow morning to start making things right. After that, these files go public. I turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Harper, you might want to ask your new husband about those paternity doubts. His poker face needs work. I walked away, feeling their stares burning into my back. Tessa fell into step beside me. That was intense, she whispered. Are you okay? No, I admitted, but I will be. As we reached the exit, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Meet me at the Westlake Hotel bar in 20 minutes. I have what you need to finish this. Roy, I showed Tessa the message. What do you think? She read it twice. I think this just got even more complicated. Good, I said, surprising myself with the steel in my voice, because I'm done playing nice. The Westlake Hotel bar was all dark wood and amber lighting, half empty on a weeknight. Roy sat in a corner booth, his wedding planner persona stripped away. No bow tie, jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up to reveal tattooed forearms I'd never noticed before. You came, he said as Tessa and I slid into the booth. I wasn't sure you would. You said you have something I need. I kept my voice steady despite the adrenaline still coursing through me. What is it? He pushed a manila folder across the table. The final piece of your puzzle. Inside were documents I immediately recognized. Contracts between Dylan's company and 3 of my biggest clients, dated months before our breakup, while we were still together, while he was still telling me he loved me. He was planning this for over a year, I whispered. Longer. Roy tapped the folder. Check the last page. It was an email from Harper to Dylan dated 18 months ago. The plan is working perfectly. She suspects nothing. Keep building her client list. The bigger it is when we make our move, the better for us. My hands trembled. How did you get these? I wasn't always a wedding planner. Roy's smile was grim. I used to work in corporate intelligence. Harper hired me 6 months ago, not knowing my history with Dylan. What history? Tessa asked. He destroyed my previous business, stole clients, spread rumors, the same playbook he used on Lindsay. Roy's eyes hardened. I've been gathering evidence ever since I realized who I was working for. I stared at him. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Needed to be sure you'd use it. He leaned forward. What happened at the reception? I told him everything. The confrontation with Dylan and Harper, the ultimatum, Eric being removed by security. They won't give in, Roy said when I finished. They can't afford to. There's too much at stake. The pregnancy, I said. He nodded. Among other things. What other things? Roy hesitated, then pulled out his phone. This is why I really asked you here. He played a voice recording. The pregnancy is our insurance policy. Dylan's voice slightly muffled but unmistakable. If she tries anything, we play the sympathy card. Nobody attacks an expectant mother. And if she doesn't back down, Harper's voice, then we destroy her. I've already started calling her clients, telling them she's having a breakdown, unstable, obsessed with me. What about the evidence she has? By morning it won't matter. I've called in some favors. Her reputation will be in tatters. The recording ended. The bar's ambient noise rushed back in, but I barely heard it over the roaring in my ears. When was this? My voice sounded strange, distant. 2 hours ago, right after your confrontation. Roy pocketed his phone. They're moving against you tonight. Tessa grabbed my hand. Lindsay, this is getting dangerous. Maybe we should go to the police. With what? I laughed bitterly. Corporate espionage is hard to prove, and they'll just say it's business competition. Then what's your plan? Roy asked. I stared at the folder, at the evidence of their betrayal laid out in black and white. All the pieces were there. The stolen clients, the calculated deception, the coordinated attack on my livelihood. But something was still missing. Why? I looked up at Roy. Why go to all this trouble? There are easier ways to steal clients. Roy's expression darkened. It's not just about the clients. It's about the thrill, the game. Dylan doesn't just want success, he wants to take it from someone else. And Harper? She's always wanted what you have. Your talent, your client list. He hesitated. Your life. The truth hit me with stunning clarity. This wasn't just business. It was personal. Deeply, vindictively personal. My phone buzzed with a text from Eric. They're calling your clients right now. All of them. I need to stop them. I stood abruptly. They're not just trying to keep what they stole. They're going after everything I have left. How? Tessa asked. It's midnight. I thought of the flash drive in my purse, of the evidence I'd gathered, of all the people at that wedding who'd watched me confront the happy couple. The wedding website, I said suddenly. Harper gave access to all the guests so they could upload photos, leave messages. Roy nodded slowly, understanding dawning. A ready-made audience. Everyone who matters in your industry. If I post the evidence there, they can't control the narrative, he finished. I turned to Tessa. I need your help. You still have the login details. She nodded, already pulling out her phone. What about the pregnancy? Are you really going to expose a pregnant woman? I paused, the weight of that decision heavy on my shoulders. Then I remembered Dylan's words on the recording. The pregnancy's our insurance policy. I'm not exposing a pregnant woman, I said finally. I'm exposing two people who use that pregnancy as a shield for their actions. We worked quickly, uploading files, organizing evidence, crafting a message that was clear but not vindictive. Professional, not emotional. The facts, not my feelings. As I prepared to hit send, doubt crept in. Was I becoming like them, calculating, vengeful, willing to destroy others for my own benefit? Second thoughts? Roy asked quietly. Just making sure I'm doing this for the right reasons. And what are the right reasons? I thought about it. Justice, truth, self-preservation, not revenge. I met his eyes. Revenge would be trying to hurt them the way they hurt me. This is just setting the record straight. My phone rang, Dylan's name flashing on the screen. I showed it to the others. They know, Tessa whispered. I answered, putting it on speaker. Hello, Dylan. Stop what you're doing. His voice was tight, controlled panic. Right now. I'm just sharing some information with our mutual colleagues. Lindsay, please. Harper's voice now. She was on the line too. Think about what you're doing. I have thought about it. For hours. For weeks, actually. My voice grew stronger with each word. Ever since I found out my boyfriend and best friend weren't just betraying me emotionally, but systematically destroying my business. We can fix this, Dylan said quickly. Return the clients. Pay you compensation. Too late. I looked at the screen, at my finger hovering over the send button. You should have thought of that before you decided to take everything from me. If you do this, Harper's voice turned cold, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. I thought about all the moments that had led to this one. The betrayals large and small, the calculated cruelty, the +1 not needed invitation that had started it all. No, I said with sudden clarity. I won't. I pressed send. The website updated instantly, notification emails automatically dispatched to every wedding guest, to every industry contact, to everyone who mattered. On the phone, I heard Harper's sharp intake of breath, followed by the ping of an incoming email on her end. "It's done," I said simply. There was silence, then Dylan's voice, all pretense gone. "You've made a terrible mistake." "No," I replied. "I've finally fixed one." I ended the call and looked up at Tessa and Roy, a strange sense of calm washing over me, not the vindictive satisfaction I'd imagined, but something quieter, something like peace. "What happens now?" Tessa asked. My phone began lighting up with notifications, emails, texts, calls from numbers I recognized as clients and colleagues. "Now," I said, "we let the truth do its work." Morning light streamed through the hotel room curtains I hadn't bothered to close. I hadn't slept. How could I? My phone had buzzed continuously until I finally silenced it around 3 a.m. after responding to the most urgent messages from clients and colleagues. A soft knock at the door pulled me from my thoughts. Tessa stood there, holding 2 coffee cups and a paper bag that smelled like cinnamon. "Thought you might need breakfast," she said, handing me a cup. "And moral support." I took a grateful sip. "How bad is it out there?" "Depends on your definition of bad." She sat on the edge of the bed, pulling out pastries. "The wedding website crashed from traffic. Your email has over 200 responses. And Harper's father has been calling everyone, trying to do damage control. And Dylan. Radio silence." She hesitated. "But his company's stock is down 12% in pre-market trading." I should have felt triumphant. Instead, I felt hollow, the adrenaline of the night before giving way to a strange emptiness. "Was it worth it?" I asked quietly. Tessa studied me. "Only you can answer that." My phone buzzed with a text from Roy. "Lobby. Now. They're here." I showed Tessa the message. "I guess I'm about to find out." The hotel lobby was eerily quiet when we arrived. Roy stood near the reception desk, his expression grim. Across the space, seated in a cluster of armchairs, were Harper, Dylan, and Jacqueline. No wedding finery now, just tired faces and rumpled clothes. "They've been waiting for an hour," Roy murmured as we approached. "Wouldn't leave until they saw you." Dylan spotted us first. He stood, his movements stiff, face haggard in the morning light. Harper remained seated, her eyes red-rimmed but defiant. "You've made your point," Dylan said when I reached them. "Now take it down." "Take what down?" "The truth." I kept my voice level. "I can't put that back in the box." "You've destroyed us," Harper said, her voice cracking. "Are you happy now?" The question hit me harder than I expected. Was I happy? The vindication I'd imagined felt distant, theoretical. "This was never about making me happy," I said finally. "It was about stopping you from taking everything I've built." "We can fix this," Dylan said, desperation edging his voice. "A joint statement. Say it was a misunderstanding. We'll return the clients. Pay damages." "Now you want to negotiate." I laughed softly. "After threatening to destroy me?" "We were scared," Harper said, "backed into a corner." "A corner you built," I reminded her, "brick by brick, lie by lie." Jacqueline, who had remained silent, suddenly stood. "This is pointless. They're not here to apologize, Lindsay. They're here because 3 major clients cancelled contracts this morning." Harper shot her a venomous look. "Shut up, Jacqueline." "No, I'm done." Jacqueline turned to me. "You want the truth? Here it is. It was never about love." Dylan approached Harper with a business proposition. Use their connection to you to access your client list, your methods, your contacts. A shortcut to success. Dylan stepped toward her. "That's enough." "The pregnancy?" I asked, my voice barely audible. Jacqueline's laugh was bitter. "Convenient timing, wasn't it? Right when you started asking questions." Harper stood abruptly. "I am pregnant. That part's real. But the rest wasn't." I finished for her. The silence that followed was answer enough. "What do you want from me?" I asked finally. "Why are you really here?" Dylan and Harper exchanged glances. "The recordings," Dylan said. "The ones you didn't post. We need to know what else you have." Understanding dawned. They weren't afraid of what I'd already revealed. They were terrified of what I might still have. "Everything," I said simply. I have everything. It wasn't entirely true. There were gaps in my evidence, questions still unanswered. But they didn't know that. What will it take? Dylan asked. To keep the rest private? I studied them. The golden couple, now tarnished and desperate. A year ago, I would have given anything to be accepted by them. Now, looking at their faces, I felt nothing but pity. A full client list, I said. Everyone you approached using my name or work, written admissions of what you did, and you leave the industry. Both of you. That's our livelihood, Harper protested. It was mine too. I held her gaze. The difference is I earned it, Dylan's jaw tightened. And if we refuse, then I release everything else, including the recording where you discuss using Harper's pregnancy as an insurance policy. Harper's face drained of colour. You wouldn't. I didn't want to be this person, I said quietly. You made me into her. A tense silence fell. Finally, Dylan nodded. You'll have everything by the end of the day. One more thing, I added. I want to know why, not the business reason, the real reason. Harper looked away, but Dylan held my gaze. Because you had something we didn't. Clients, connections, authenticity, he said simply. People trust you. They believe in you. We thought we could take that, but you can't steal someone's essence, I finished. As they turned to leave, Harper paused. For what it's worth, I did value our friendship. Once. I thought of the photo I'd placed face down on my mantel, of all the memories now tainted by deception. I did too. After they left, Tessa squeezed my hand. Are you okay? Not yet, I admitted. But I will be. Roy approached, a strange expression on his face. There's someone else who wants to see you. He gestured toward the hotel entrance where Eric stood waiting, a laptop under his arm. What are you doing here? I asked when I reached him. Finishing what we started. He opened the laptop, revealing a database of client information. Dylan's entire network, contact details, contract terms, communication history, everything you need to rebuild. I stared at the screen. Why would you help me like this? Because what they did to you, they did to me too. He closed the laptop, handing it to me. And because someone needed to stop them. Won't this hurt, Harper? She's still your sister. His expression softened slightly. Harper made her choices. Now she has to live with them. He hesitated. The baby is real, you know. That part wasn't a lie. I know. I took the laptop, feeling its weight. What will you do now? Start over. Somewhere new. He offered a small smile. You. I thought about it. The past weeks had changed me, hardened me in some ways, strengthened me in others. The woman who had received that wedding invitation no longer existed. Rebuild, I said finally. But differently this time, on my terms. Later, as Tessa and I packed to leave, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. I answered cautiously. Is this Lindsay? A woman's voice I didn't recognize. This is Margaret from Vantage Publishing. We've been following the situation with Dylan Newman's company, and we're interested in your side of the story. My side. Your experience as a female entrepreneur targeted by corporate espionage. It's an important story that needs telling. I caught Tessa's eye, saw her encouraging nod. I'm listening, I said. As Margaret outlined her proposal, I moved to the hotel window, looking out at the city below. Somewhere out there, Harper and Dylan were facing the consequences of their actions. Somewhere, my former clients were reading my evidence and making their own judgments. And here I stood, not broken as they'd intended, but remade, stronger, clearer, more myself than I'd been in years. When the call ended, Tessa asked, What will you tell them? The publishers? I thought of all the pieces that had led me here, the betrayals and revelations, the pain and the clarity that followed. The truth, I said, a smile finally finding its way to my lips. That sometimes the invitation you never wanted becomes the path you needed all along.